Well, it looks like we're recording. This is Calantirniel wishing all of you Valima Nost-na-Lothion. And I wanted to see if all of you guys could hear us. If you could type in the chat, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, excellent. It looks like the sound is working. So where's my book? Okay, I finally got my book to work as well. Okay, my computer's flashing screens at me. How funny. Go away. Okay. So I found my Kindle had was on like 4% when I looked at it today after like a really long weekend. So I was hoping I could charge it up in time, and it looks like I did. But when I was like loading the book, it was weird. It was highlighting pages, and I was like, no, stop doing this. It's like I just want to read it. So I finally got it to uh, and I guess that I can only show you when it's not in the, because I have one of those like virtual backgrounds, right? Like from our website. So I can only hold this like within my body frame for you guys to see. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. Hey, Astrophel, how are you? Excellent to see you. Yay. So in the house, we have so far Jennifer, Nimue, and Draco. We have Moonflower Fairy. We have Sean. We have Faith. And we have Taria visiting. And Taria, are you still are you still in EU or are you in Canada? Because I never got to catch up with you. So wherever you are, Valima Nost-na-Lothion, which is wonderful that you're here. I'm so glad for that. Astrophel says, I'm doing great. I've been volunteering at the local shelter. That's wonderful. That's excellent. So I'm still waiting for Dave to come on and Dakyndre to come on. Both of them ended up in, snags of their own. So we're waiting for that. So I go, oh, and Sean is letting other people know that he goes by Eruanion. Did I say that right? Eruanion. Eruanion, right? And Taria says that she is still in the EU. Okay, so, and is Sean in Canada still? I was wondering about that. And I'm also looking for Dakyndre and for Dave, who will be joining. They'll be joining shortly. And like as far as Dave, I'm pretty sure that he got his computer fixed in time for in Canada. That's right. So um, yeah, we've had a lot of activity behind the scenes. I just wanted to update you guys on Tia Eldaleva. I guess stuff behind the scenes. So some of you already know from your Patreon that we had created, and this Draco is here, and I guess that they'll come back on to the live chat. And Dave and I, all three, kind of worked on putting together an initial curriculum. So what we did was we divided it between, like, if you will, core requirements and also like electives, so that people could take the core materials, which are Legendarium based, okay, and apply that for the spirituality. So we kind of realized that the baseline that everybody should have on the path if they want to do any kind of clergy work or anything in the future would be the actual Legendarium. So I had Dave do that part of the curriculum, like the things that he felt were like necessary to learn. The electives were something. Oh, and speaking of Dave, he has just knocked.
Hey.
Dave, how are
Hey.
you? I was just telling everybody about the curriculum that we were creating and how you worked on the core part of the curriculum, which is the Legendarium based part of the curriculum.
Right.
And then Draco and Nimue had wonderful ideas about how to divide up the electives. The electives are going to be divided by, like, I guess, topic or subject matter, and under a particular Vala or Maya. So, for instance, Vaire, the weaver, would be something to do with textile art, or, like it could range from, creating fabric, okay, to embroidery or any kind of textile arts. If you are a blacksmith, Ayule, right? So do you see how this would work? So I love that idea. And so we're going with that. And then Dakyndre, who I'm hoping comes on pretty soon. By the way, Dave, Dakyndre got waylaid also.
Oh, okay.
Different reasons, but I just think that it's really funny that, and then earlier I couldn't get my Kindle to work. It's working now, but and then I moved my computer a hair trigger and StreamYard went ballistic. So like my camera just went out, and so I had to reset everything. And I also at the last minute decided to change our meditation music, and I've already updated the YouTube video with the description area of which meditation video that I want to use. If any of you guys already looked at the old one, you can find the old one still on the year prior or the year before. I can't remember which one I did. For Nost-na-Lothion. That's the one I was going to use again. And then I found a different one called Forest Bathing, and I thought that was really cool. And it has a water sound in it. And so I decided to switch out the video for the meditation music. So Dave, I didn't also tell everybody that my computer had crashed a little while ago, including, but not limited to, all of my ritual documents that I had written in the past. So all I have is the Enderi ritual. Right. I'm guessing I'm gonna wing it when it comes to the Vána meditation, the introduction to that ritual.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I don't have any of your newer TE ones. I only have the 2007 era ones, so.
Oh, yeah, because I think that we had 2009 and 2010 was the updated ones that I was working with. And so, by the way, the 2007 ones might still give me like a starting point if I have to regenerate them. And actually, it might be a good idea for me to just rewrite all of them.
Would you like me to?
An actual real ritual book. I need to keep the Enderi ritual one available for Marcus, for his thesis that he did. I need to make sure that that's available for everybody.
Would you like me to?
Even if it's free, even if it's free at that point, and then just have for sale the entire ritual book, because that's what I'd like to do.
Would you like me to zip all the ones I have for TE and send them to you?
Yeah, that would be great, because and the thing is that I probably have them, but they are on CDs in San Diego.
Right.
And I do not know where in my storage unit. Along with by the way, my print copy of Ritual of Enderi. Luckily, I have this device here called a Kindle, that I can put it on. So, Linda says it's so nice to see so many here. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let me tell you who's in the house. We have Taria coming from Europe, believe it or not. We have Faith. We have Sean. Okay. Eruranian.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, Astrofel is in the house. We have Jennifer. We have Draco and Nimue. And Linda is also visiting too. And I hope I didn't miss it. Oh, Moonflower Fairy as well.
Right.
So we have quite a few people here tonight. And I'm really happy about that. So I thought that I would just give them kind of an update on Tia Aldalieva News, and I was telling them about the new curriculum that we've been working on.
Right.
And so we're going to get back on track. Also, at some point, we're going to be having, along with a bridge with IV, which is Il Salunte Valion, we're going to be implementing at some point a Legendarium reading, like we read live together on YouTube, just like what we're doing right now, to read the material and discuss it. I know that you guys have had samples of that when we did Ainu Lindale, and then also for the patrons Valaquenta. But
yeah, right. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, on the IV side, everything is set up. It's just, as to when you want to pull
It's a matter of getting it together over here. Yeah. Well, and actually, I would like to do the interview with Lothion about the path, and also
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for you guys that don't know, so you guys remember that we actually offered, back in February, we offered a beginning Elvish class, and that was very well received by our patrons, by the way. That was with French citizen, and he is actually Ukrainian and Latvian, like by ethnicity, but he lives in France. So Edward Kloxko came and taught us about Elvish, and I felt like his course was really great. However, he has also strong opinions about things. And I thought that it might be a good idea to have some balance, provided for our patrons, so that they can learn from a different source as well, for people that are interested in Elvish. And Jennifer, I know you were in that class, and she said loved it. Excellent. So would you be interested in an Elvish class by Lothion, who has been taking some of the other courses in Elvish? And the reason that we want to offer that is so that you guys have, I guess, an access to many different sources, and then you guys make up your mind, because we're not like really, we don't want to tell you guys what to do. That's not what we're about. Okay.
And Lothion actually wrote the, I believe she calls it Ithildin, the
yes.
Sindar into English and back and forth translation app. So that's her work. She's a professional programmer, as well as being the webmaster for IV.
Yeah, so. And let me type that into the chat for people to look up. So look this up on either the this would be the program that you look up. I just typed it into the chat. Ethildine. This is the app for learning Elvish that is based on the Eldamo texts, that is also on Android as well as Apple. So you guys can download that app if you haven't yet. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We would like Lothion to teach her version. She may do it in a way that is different than Edward. Okay. So this way we have two different kinds of Elvish courses. Okay. So that you guys can like make, you can kind of, like maybe you really like this one thing Edward did, but then you might like something that Lothion does. So we want to give you guys like more of a, I guess, a rounded experience, and you can choose what it is that you would like to do. We're not here to tell people what to do. So Jennifer says it would be good to have another source that isn't so intellectual and more practical. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. So now I will say in Edward's favor, Edward is a nerd and has been collecting a lot of different things that are not digital, that are things that like you can tell that there was a pencil mark with an eraser and, different things like that, to be where he has theories about what is happening. And he is writing a book about those theories that I think if the any language community like read it from the beginning and were led through the whole process, they would understand where Edward's coming from. But without that particular thing, it just looks like he has a really strong opinions. And so I think that when he gets that published, and by the way, that's coming soon, I understand. Okay. He already has some work in French. But even then, he didn't have all of his sources that he has now. And he says that, like, I mean, it's dozens of sources. Like, it could be even up to 50 sources
one of
that other people don't have, you know.
I just wanted to mention in connection with that. Now, I'm not a linguist. I'm a visual thinker on the autism spectrum. So, languages are not my specialty, whatever language it is. But nevertheless, given that, the only problem that I see with his references is he doesn't do it in the way that like one of my scientific white papers would list references. He doesn't do it in that way. From my point of view, he makes a statement and then proceeds. So, the problem is in science, you would call that an unsourced reference.
Okay, so you must be talking about his posts that he makes
right,
online. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So the truth is that his book will be really heavily sourced, really heavily. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that he does some of the posts, like, to kind of poke a stick. If you get my drift, mm-hmm. he's kind of a testy, like he's a testy one. I've gotten to know him over time, and at first it was just like, I don't know, like kind of just abrasive, mm-hmm. like years ago when we were first in contact with him, because he was so just passionate, but it's so much so that it's like it's off-putting, I've been talking to him over the years, and I'm telling him if he tones it down, he might actually have like some people that want to listen to him. So it's great. And I think that he is having some people listen now. He's still very strongly opinionated, but I do believe that he believes that he is strongly founded in his opinions. And one day when he publishes everything with all the sources properly sourced, we will know what that is. And until that day, I guess that it's going to be like what it is. But that being said, I do not feel that the efforts of, let's say, Arda Lambion and the like, okay, like depending on, like what we want to call Elvish, beginnings, because there was a, like the sources of Elvish wasn't all like condensed in one place. I mean, Tolkien had notes all over the place. Many of them were not published for a long time. So these people not having, I mean, they have some source material, but other source material they might not have. And Edward has like, very much like, I mean, he buys every paper copy of the scholarly stuff so that he can source his stuff properly. And so I look forward to some kind of a bridge between the communities in Elvish language, like so that they're working maybe more together than against each other. I look forward to that. But I think that Edward needs to get all of his work out, and then like some negotiation can happen. So that's what. Yes, Linda says it perfectly. Acquired taste, but knowledgeable. Absolutely. Oh yeah. And believe me when I tell you, he's really knowledgeable about Tolkien's material as well. Not to the degree of Dave's knowledge, to be honest with you, but very close. He has caught me off guard a couple of times. And I know that if Dave was in the room, it would have been, oh yeah, I know about that. So it's one of those things. So Draco and Nimue say he is quite abrasive and largely an intellectual purist. And as a linguist myself, okay, so this is Draco, I found his dismissal of other Tolkien linguists a bit arrogant. Okay, and if it was sourced, it might not be viewed so arrogantly. Like, in other words, if he had the sources already done, and everybody read them, that like it might not look so arrogant at that point.
Well,
like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
The one thing I have to say in that respect is I source even YouTube posts. You know, I make a line and then I put the numbers of all my sources. But that's just my way of doing things. But,
Sure.
you know, I'm used to that way. So when somebody just makes a statement and doesn't source it, from my point of view, it's an unsourced assertion.
Absolutely. And his posts on social media have been unsourced, but it doesn't mean that he will present it that way in his book.
Okay, well, I can't say one way or the other because he hasn't published it. So.
Yeah. And actually what he might, you know what would be a good idea for him, and maybe I'll talk to him about it. Maybe what he needs to do with it, because I understand that he doesn't want to give it all away, okay? But what he could do is he could put in parentheses at the end sources to, you know, to be, you know, disclosed at a later date, you know, so that people know, oh, this guy isn't just making this up. Like, he actually has things that, you know, and I think some of his theories actually seem very sound after what he told me initially. And by the way, I mean, he only told me like, I mean, less than a tenth of like what's going to be in his book. Okay. And I'm like, you need to get this out there. Like, you know.
It also may be to some extent a difference in methods between the humanities and literature versus science. Hard science, you have to list your sources, or you won't even be considered. You'll be just cast out, you know.
Yeah. Right. Well, and actually linguists has its own you know, its own body of, you know, like, I don't know what you want to call it, but protocol, right? So, okay, Jennifer says she has to get going soon. Dakyndre is still not here. So I'm going to guess that, Jennifer, I'm going to ask maybe that, because if you have to get going, there's no sense in like you getting involved and then you have to go. So what I will do is I will provide the replay and I will do it at the beginning of the ritual. Like, so I'll put a timestamp for you and you can catch the replay. Is that okay? For people that have to go, I completely understand. Totally understand. We've been online now for 22 minutes and something. So I'll make sure that I have a timestamp for you guys to just catch into the video where you're supposed to. Okay? So thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on. It's been so wonderful to see you. And in fact, it's been wonderful to see all of you. It's been a long time. I'm sorry. I've been in the weeds. I've been working. I mean, a 59-year-old woman should not, you know, with no physical, like, freaking, you know, workout program, okay, should be doing 12 to 14 hours a day on her feet in the weather, okay, with only 2 30-minute breaks, 15 minutes of which is walking to and from the place of, like, doing the breaks, okay? Like, call me insane, okay? I'm insane. So, Jennifer says, I'm sorry, kiddos. Oh, I understand. It's totally fine. Good night to you. Yeah. She says good night to everyone, and I'll see you all soon. Here. You will. We'll be back. We'll be back. Namaste, Jennifer. Excellent. Okay, so if Dakyndre doesn't show up pretty soon, Dave, I think we're going to get started, and I'll just tell him, hey, cool. You know, pop in, and I'll put you in the stream.
Right.
You know, because I don't want to have everybody else waiting. Right. I did want to give some news, though, to people. So anyway, the idea here is that we would like Lothion to do before the readings of the Legendarium. We would like her to provide 2 videos for you guys. One for the public, which would be what is Elven spirituality. She gave one of the most detailed outlines, okay, of what Elven spirituality is to her, that I felt like it would be such a wonderful thing to share with our audience, okay? And so the Elvish classes indeed are for patrons only at this point. And the reason that we did it that way, Astrophil, is because he has copyrighted material within the back end of the class that's going to be in his published book. So he did not want that publicly released yet because he is shopping it around to scholarly academic publishers, and he needs to be able to say, hey, this has never been publicly published before. So that's the reason. Okay. Now for Luthion's class on Elvish, what do you think we should do about that, Dave? Should that be for the patrons or should it be public for everybody? What do you think we should do? Or does Luthien have an idea?
I haven't spoken to her about it, so I don't know precisely what her ideas are on that. But I think it should be made generally available. But that's just because I'm me, and I don't really care if my stuff is secret or not.
Right? Yeah. Well, and Luthien isn't publishing any books or anything,
right.
And she might want it actually to be more of a public, like service announcement, kind of thing.
Yeah. So. Generally, I can give you a more general idea. The way we structured the IV forum is that whoever wants to join and is actually interested versus just a looky-loo. Looky-loos, we have a limited amount.
Oh yeah, limited tolerance for looky-loos. Oh sure, yeah. But I understand.
People who show an actual level of interest, then we open up the board, except for the actual private meditations. Those are private because they may have personal material in there, and we don't want just somebody who says I'm interested.
Actually, Astrofel, you might be interested in checking out Il Salunte Valion, which is our sister group, of which Dave is even more involved than I am in that group. Along with Luthien, it's like Dave and Luthien are kind of the heads of that group, and there's a few other people in there. And when they do rituals and stuff, you might want to get on their list, and they have a great forum, so you might want to do that. Dave, can you narrate to me what the URL is for Astrofel to check that out?
Let me see here. I'll actually have to search for it.
Is it westofwest.org still?
I think it's westofwest.org/forum. It would be the actual forum. Yeah, westofwest.org. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to I'm going to type both of them so that Astrofel can do this.
Yes.
So I'm typing the comment. So I made it forum.westofwest.org, or it's westofwest.org/forum. It's one of those two. Mm-hmm. And you may want to check it out. And also, not only do they do rituals and stuff on in a free area for you to, come into, they also they're going to be doing a free reading group, and Tia Eldaleva is going to be part of that, with reading the Legendarium live. Okay, so. And to my knowing, there's not going to be any recording because the whole idea is to do it live. We might record one session just so that people get a sample of what's going on. Right. But I think that the idea is that we all meet live. Okay. Rather than have a replay.
And also, unless we were doing it locally on a person's individual machine, we're not on StreamYard, so we don't have the ability to record.
Yeah, you don't have a YouTube channel. Yeah, you don't have a place for the recording to go. So okay. So Astrophil, you don't have to be a patron to be a part of Il Salunte Valion. It's entirely separate. And by the way, you don't even have to be our patron, obviously. if you're, right here, right now. We have public content too, and that's what this video is tonight. So, that's covered. So, I'm thinking let's get started, but this is little juicy tidbits. For those of you also curious, there's some admin stuff going on in the background, and what we are looking at doing is getting a new number for the organization so that there is less friction involved. And what I mean by friction is that it's been ever since that we've become a nonprofit, which has been wonderful for everybody involved. And we are still a nonprofit, and you can still write off your taxes if you deduct your patron fees and any monies that you pay towards us, you can deduct them from your taxes. Of course, talk to your accountant. Okay, right? Disclaimer, right? But we are a nonprofit, and we are considering redoing the nonprofit in order to eliminate some if you will, some energetic as well as physical world issues that we've been having with our number.
Baggage, you might.
Baggage is a good term. Okay, that works. Yeah, so we'll be nice. We'll call it baggage. And we are unloading the baggage. Okay, so we're looking at doing that, and we need to get the board all on the board. Okay, like pun intended. And Draco says I'm on the IV forum as Lome Lindo. Okay, so Draco is also known as Lome Lindo. Okay, and Nimue says it's a refresh. I like that. Okay, so we are freshening up Tia Eldelieva.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, like nice perfume instead of that stench from before.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, at least my hair is dry now. Before, Dave, my hair was completely soaking wet when I was talking to everybody earlier. Yeah, like I've been so behind, like, everything, still resting. I'm still, like, recovering from, just 5 weeks of, like, 2 days of, 14-hour days. And yesterday, because of the breakdown, we also had to wheel up the cart onto a trailer. Okay, unload all the parasols that didn't sell, inventory them all, put them all back in the big trailer, and then there's a big open space in the trailer with a ramp that, by the way, didn't hit the ground. So we had to have an intermediary ramp put over that.
Oh, wow.
That was like consisted of 2 boards, which is like, what the hell?
Right.
Okay. And they were rolling this really heavy, like, I mean, probably many hundreds, if not thousands of pounds on wheels, manually, up the ramp and into, I'm like, oh my God. Okay. And then they had a trunk to also, like, pick up and put on top of the, all the stuff, wheeling it around. Oh my God. It was like, I will, and so my lesson was, I am never being a vendor. I will just work for them because that's easier. Okay.
Sounds like you'd have to be. It sounds like you'd have to be Heracles to even do it. I mean,
Exactly. You figured it out. So, Astrophil says Draco and Okay, I'm Woodlands in IV. Okay, so Woodlands.
Okay.
So now you know who Astrophil is. Woodlands. Okay. Right. Excellent. I know it's hard to keep everybody's, like, separate names, like, clear. Yeah. And by the way, guilty. Okay, I have Lisa and I have Calantirniel. Yeah. So I'm guilty, but it's just what it is. So, I forgot to drop our banner. For Ilsa. Right, okay, yeah, like, I forgot to make a banner. So hang on, you guys. I'm going to make a banner. Okay. So I'm going to edit this. Okay. Valima. Nost-na-Lothion from. Okay. It should show. There we go. Yeah, see how I pop that in? So that way when somebody comes onto the video, they'll know what we're talking about. Right. And so we're going to get the ritual started here pretty soon too. And any other announcements that we want to make? Because we talked about the admin stuff. We talked about, and we're still working that out with the board. We're trying to get the board kind of, like, together, if that makes sense. And we're still working on that. We have, some admin stuff behind the scenes, but we're also doing the curriculum, and we want to have Dakyndre's input. I remember that post. Yeah, Dakyndre's input about, like the classes, like what they're called, and also, like, maybe the symbol for, like, a pin or something like that for a graduate, or, like, kind of the more finer details of, like, like in a school you would get a diploma, right? so we were thinking about something like that, along with like maybe a jewelry piece or something like that, and what the symbols are, and also what they would be for like electives and things like that. So that's coming down the pike. I want to tell everybody about that. Okay, so comments. We have okay, check the forum. Okay, so thinking about revising, because it's all old. Oh,
she was the one who made the post about the Elven Zodiac. Remember, I mentioned.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Oh, and you know what? I had made a response to that was long. I'm an astrologer, okay, and Dave is an astronomer, like an amateur astronomer. I'm a professional astrologer, and I had a whole thing that I wrote about, and the entire thing disappeared, and I never got back to it, and life went on, and like things happened. So I will probably have to revisit that, Astrophil. So I apologize for that, because I actually responded to that and it just didn't take. And I was like, oh, I'll do it later, because I mean, I lost everything that I typed. So let's see. Moonflower Fairy says, are the classes part of Patreon, or do we pay separately? Oh, no, they're part of Patreon for sure. Part of Patreon for sure. Okay. So, oh, it's all right. So she says, yeah. So yeah, that's not a separate fee. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's for, yeah, that's the idea of Patreon, is like to fund all of, so that we don't have to, hassle you guys every time we do something, like it's just something that automatically is happening. And yeah, so yeah, it's already, it's very low cost this way. And then, it's just, you kind of get accustomed to like, that $5 or $10 a month is coming out. And so it totally can funnel into our classes. And it actually helped pay Edward. And that reminds me, I have to give Edward a refund, because France charged him custom fees for the books that we sent over there, even though I marked them as a gift.
I don't think they. I've never lived in France, but I lived in Costa Rica, and it didn't matter whether it was a gift or not. You had to pay customs.
Yeah. Well, no. Some places it matters. So I marked it as a gift, and I've shipped. So I used to have a crochet business, and I shipped all over the world, and often. But this was back in the 90s and early 2000s when I shipped it and marked it as a gift. People did not pay a customs fee. Mm-hmm. Now, it might be new because the EU is starving for money. So they may have done a bunch of stuff right now that I'm not aware of. And then he says, well, just Western Union me the money. It'll be really cheap. It's only $3. And I'm like, yeah, if I lived in France, or if it was euros, but it's not no $3 when, so anyway, I got to get with Edward. I got to just, get him to log into his PayPal and take the PayPal. And then I'm going to tell him how to hook his account so he can spend his money. Okay. That's basically, I just have to show him how to use PayPal. It's a service, you guys. Okay. So, okay. Let's get ready to start with Linde, Ellen Lotte, and it's the Song of the Starflower, and I'm going to try to make sure that the screen doesn't go out here. So this is the Starflower in the book, and we also have a color picture of this, like on our website somewhere. You probably have seen it. It is the flower that would be known as Tridentalis borealis, I believe, right? It's the northern starflower. And then they changed the Latin name. So sorry about that. Recently they did it, and I can't remember. They changed it.
I can't remember.
They changed it, and I can't remember the new name, but you can look up Tridentalis borealis and you'll find the new name. But in the they have a Europa one. They have a flower essence in the Alaskan essence line. So and I actually own some. I just don't have it handy with me right now. So but you can just visualize this energy, and you can infuse water. Okay, I have this couple. Oops, sticking to my coaster. I just have a cup of water, like nothing fancy today. I'm barely able to function, you know. So Elven Zodiac intrigues me. So yeah, and I had some ideas about what that might look like. Okay, so and I wrote them down. I will write them again in the forum so that we don't lose it, and I will have to regenerate that whole thing. So, okay. So let's, we'll go ahead and do Linde Ellen Lote, which is the Song of the Starflower first. Okay, so we're about 40 minutes in, so I'll let Jennifer know, like, that we were talking for another 20 minutes. So we can visualize. If you're at a computer, it's fine. But if you have a cell phone, you can turn directions. So if you want to face east, and we'll go run through the directions after we tone the Starflower, the Song of the Starflower. First, we intone Eru. Okay, and sometimes I like to put my hands in Namaste before I do it, so that it kind of seals the energy in. Okay, you might want to do it like this or with just one hand. Let's intone Eru together. And now we want to do and you can trace your fingers in this figure here. This is a septagram. We have our septaquitra that you can use as well, but this form still works well. So at the 4 o'clock position, okay, like those of you who are looking, or maybe it's this side, 4 o'clock, okay, we hold our finger, and so this might be a mirror image, okay, so just, this is my 4 o'clock position, okay, we intone the day for Star Day, which is Saturday. Okay, so the Elven week, if you will, starts on a Saturday. Okay, the way that we do the Starflower. The day is called Elenia. Elenia. Trace over to the 8 o'clock position, and we intone Sunday, which is Anaria. Anaria. We go up to the 2 o'clock position and intone Isilia for Moon Day. Isilia. Down to the 7 o'clock position, we do the Day of the Two Trees, called Alduya. Alduya. Head on up to the top, the noon position, and we intone Menelia, which means Heaven's Day. Menelia. Down to the 5 o'clock position, we intone the only day that was added by the Númenóreans. This is called the Sea Day or the Mariner's Day, and it's pronounced Earenia. Earenia. We then go over to the 10 o'clock position, and we intone Valanya, which is the day of the Valar. It's the high day. Valanya. And then we close the star. We close the septaquitra or the septagram. And we intone Arda, which is the earth, to close the symbol. Arda. And if you want, we can put our hands in Namaste again, or you can put them open. You can even use one open hand. We can intone And actually, you could even hold your hands like this, because it would be behold. Boy, my voice is very weak, but we can keep going. We are at the facing east part now. Hang on, let me get closer to the screen. This is the symbol for east. And you want to draw it in front of you if you're facing east. And if you're not, it's fine. Just visualize yourself facing east and put your hand in what we would call the fear not mudra. And this seals the energy in the east, and we call Roman. Roman. We now call on Manwe Sulimo, the High King of Arda, of the eagles and the winds, and his lady Varda, Elentari, the queen of the stars and the protector of Arda, and Iluvatar's children. We welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
Next, you want to do this symbol and face south. This is Hjarmen. And so you want to draw this in front of you and put your hand in the Fear Not Mudra. We intone Hjarmen. Hjarmen. We now call on Tulkas, the youngest bare-handed, ruddy warrior Vala, and Nessa, sister of Orome, and the friend of the deer, she who dances on the new green grass. We welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Yeah.
So we are going to be working with Vána today, not Nessa. So it's like, because people were confused about that. So I thought I would mention that. Okay. We now face north, if you can. Otherwise, visualize yourself facing north and then draw this symbol in the air. It looks like a B with an underline. This is north, and it is pronounced Formen. Formen. We now call on Iole the smith, who dwells in the ground, the Vala of the mining and the crafting of metals and gemstones, he who created the dwarves as a gift to Iluvatar. And to our motherly Yavanna Kementari, the giver of fruits, the queenly valier of Arda's maturing green vegetation of harvest and of the life that nourishes all of us. We welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
Okay, next we want to focus on the center of us, or the center of our work area, the center of our being, if you will. This particular Tengwar is Ore, which is the heart or the mind. But you want to put it right on your heart chakra. So you just make that letter N with the curve, okay? And then you want to put your hand over your chest. And we want to intone me, which means within. Me. We now call on the hunter Vala Orome, the lord of the forests, he who loves the elves and wanders all of Arda, on horseback with his horn, and Vána, the ever young and vital, she who aligns with the flowers and the new plant growth. We welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
And I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Hang on. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
But
there
it's the bottom one I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the symbol we want to do next, but we draw this above us. This is the symbol for Velia, the sky. So you want to draw that. It looks like a U with a line over it. Okay. And we intone or because that means above. And you can put your hand up and look up. Or. We now call on Lorien, Irmo, the Vala of the high light gardens, who nurtures our goals, visions, and our dreams. And to Este the gentle, the Valier of rest, sleep, and healing, we welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
And now we want to do the one for below. This particular Tengwar, you'll notice that it looks like east, but it has an extra tail. This actually is the one that we use below us, and it means Arda, it's earth. Okay, so we want to draw this underneath us. So just go down underneath you and visualize this symbol, okay, underneath you. And we want to put our hand parallel to the ground and intone undo, because it means under or below. Undo. We now call on those of the Valar who walk alone. Ulmo, the brother of Manwe and the powerful and protective Vala of all of the musical waters of Arda. And to Nienna, the Valier of our transformation and our rebirth. She who with her tears intensely cleanses and restores all forms of fear, pain, and hurt that have come before. We welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
And finally, we want to face west. That's the Elven direction, east to west. So we went through all the directions, east and then to west. This is the Tengwar. It looks like an M with curls. Okay, we want to draw that in the west. Hold our hand in Fear Not Mudra, and we intone Numen. Numen. We now call on Namo of the Halls of Mondos, the Vala of the balance and fair judgment of our respective paths of death. And to Vaire, the weaver of the ever-changing black and white threads of time, the past, present, and future, we welcome you into our circle, Aya.
Aya.
And finally, we want to acknowledge our entire, all around us, okay? We can do this by holding our hand and envisioning a flame. You can draw it with your hand. You can also draw a candle flame if you prefer. Like, that's easier to draw. It's like, you know, kind of like a Vesica Pisces shape, right? However you wish to do so. You may even have a candle that you want to light. That would be ideal. You can light a candle, but otherwise visualize a light. And we intone Iluve, the all, the everywhere. Iluve. And now we put our hands in Namaste position. We acknowledge that we are one with Eru Iluvatar. And for Christians who are present, we also acknowledge the spirit of Christ consciousness. We feel the flame imperishable within us on this circle of our celebration on this evening. Laita.
Laita.
So we want to celebrate Nost-na-Lothion, and Vána, the ever young, is the Vala that we are, or Valier, depending, queen, right? Could be one of the Valar or a queen Valier. So Vána is the spouse of Orome, You called her in the center of your being. Okay, she is very similar to, I guess, what like pagans in their own legends and in their own mythos would kind of align loosely, not identical, but it's loosely like the May Queen energy because of the youth and because of the maiden energy, the flowering energy, the new growth energy that is happening at this time. And it's really at the peak when it starts to go really, really, leaving spring and going into summer. That's what today is. This is the first day of Elven Summer. This is Lairë. And I'll type that in. And I don't have an umlaut over the E, but Lairë, okay, is Elven Summer. And so one of the things about Vána that is outstanding, besides her resonation with the new plant growth, is that she has an older sister named Yavanna, who is the Valier of the mature growth and the giver of fruits. So it's like the trees and the fruits that come forth. So it's a more mature, it's a mothering energy, where Vána is more of the maiden energy. And we also know that Orome, her spouse, has a sister named Nessa. And Nessa is the one who dances with the deer and the new green grass. So a lot of people confuse Vána and Nessa because, they know that they both have a relationship to Orome. And Orome is who we resonate with at Enderi, which is the opposite of, it's the opposite of this time of the year. It's the time that we are like going into the cold season. It's leaving the summer and going into the fall during the Enderi, which is the middle days, and that's at the end of September in the Gregorian calendar. So that's kind of the relationship here. Nessa is the one for the full moon of this month, but Vána is the one that aligns with the actual day of the birth of flowers, which would be the Elben Beltane. Okay, this is the beginning of summer. Astrophel says, Vána reminds me a bit of the goddess Ostare. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of resonance there. Definitely. And I guess that we could find like that young maiden plant energy in many pantheons, not just the Germanic pantheons. We could find it in the Greek pantheons and the Roman pantheons and, even the Native American pantheons and African pantheons and Polynesian pantheons and Indian pantheons. And, and by the way, I should say probably Vedic pantheons. Okay, because India is, like it could have been confused with Native American pantheon. So, and by the way, all of the tribes had very different legends about, like some of our legends have, like say for instance, like with the Egyptians, with the sky goddess, okay, and then the earth god. And then many other traditions have the earth goddess and the sky god. So, it just switches around. And even in the Elven path, if you will, the masculine and the feminine names of the moon and the sun are different because the moon is male and the sun is female in this path. And so it aligns very closely with a lot of Northern European traditions. And I'm thinking specifically of the Norse pantheon where Sunna is the sun. It's the female, and she resonates with the sun, and Mani resonates with the moon. So it's something like that. Vána's hair is platinum blonde. Okay, and golden platinum blonde. And she actually had her hair woven into the sails of the ship of the world. Okay, if you resonate with Tolkien, you may already know about the Lost Tales, and that there is a figure that is in the book, and there's a void all the way around, and then Arda is seen as a large ship sailing in the void, just kind of sailing around. Vána's hair made the sails to that ship. And so it's kind of like she plays a really integral role, because you think about her hair actually in a way being kind of a compass, or like a sailing, you know, for when you sail something, you got to know the direction of where you're going and like capture the wind and all of these types of things. So I think that it's really important that we like resonate with Vána, not just for her youthful maiden and plant energy, but also that in a sense, she's kind of like the mechanism of how we direct the world. It's a really deep concept. Dave, did you have anything that you wanted to add about Vána?
No, you're
okay.
You're doing very well. So
okay, so I would like to meditate today with Vána in her role of her hair being on the ship, rather than just like looking at Gondolin. So we can look at Gondolin for a moment. So when we go into the meditation part of this, we can go into Gondolin, we can look at the hillsides of white flowers everywhere, and that when Vána walks by and waves her hand, all the flowers bloom, and they're just radiant, and like, you know, beautiful perfume in the air, everything. Okay, this is the beginning of summer. It's so fresh, it's so new, it's so vibrant. It's at the height of the green when the summer is coming, and you know, it's going to keep growing in light until midsummer. And at midsummer, then it starts dying. Okay, like it's not as fresh, it matures, but then it becomes fruit with Yavanna later. So I would like to also meditate and so that's why I have a water running in the background, forest meditation. It's forest bathing, but I thought the water would be a good metaphor for bringing about Vána's hair being the sails of Arda, like literally directing and, you know, steering in a way Arda, along with, you know, that. Like, so for instance, with Arian directing the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Helion directing the moon, we actually have Vána's hair, as well as the flame imperishable, but like that's kind of a steadfast thing. This actually is giving direction to the winds of Arda, and making the ship go in a direction that we would like it to go. So we can visualize the earth going into a direction of what Vána represents, which is new life, you know, birth, new growth, light green, you know, grass green, like new flowers, everything, like all of that kind of stuff. We can visualize the planet going in this direction. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do today while we're in meditation. So first, let's drink our water that we have infused with the starflower essence. Okay, and if you haven't done that yet, just visualize the starflower, Trientalis borealis that we talked about earlier, and then just visualize that energy in your water, and then drink water. And then we want to get our eyes closed and our feet flat on the floor and our hands open. If you're lying down, you might go to sleep, just letting you know. Better to possibly sit. And we close our eyes and we relax and breathe in. And we breathe out. And as we do this, we want to see our feet becoming the roots that go to the center of Arda, all the way to the center. And we can wrap our roots around Arda at the center. And see Arda giving us nourishment from the earth energy and feeding that up through us. Okay. And at the same time, we want to have the sky energy coming down and feeding us from the sky down and letting that come through our crown chakra and all the way down and bring it down below your feet to your earth star chakra. Like it's a point where you are connected to the earth, and we want to bring the sky energy all the way down to that point. And then we want to bring the earth energy up, 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 up over our head, all the way up to the soul star chakra above our heads. And because we want to resonate with the two trees, we want the silver light circulating on the left side of us to resonate with Telion and Esil energy. And then we want the sunlight, Anar, circulating along with the energies of the Maya, Aryan. And so the sun and the moon have this fluctuating, beautiful energy that we sway in. And that energy like resonates all the way up and outward from the left and the right, and it fluctuates back and forth in a really beautiful way. Every 12 hours-ish, we have daytime, and every 12 hours-ish, we have nighttime. Right now, our daytimes are longer, and they're going to be getting that way in the Northern Hemisphere for a little while longer until June 21st, when we have midsummer, Tarni Nausta. Right now, let's visualize that we are Vána, and we are walking in Gondolin, and we see all the elves watching. And Vána waves her hand over the fields, and suddenly the green fields become a field of white flowers, just everywhere, just white flowers. And the smell is heavenly. Think of jasmine, gardenia, white roses, tuberose, anything that feels really, orchids. I mean, anything that feels like a beautiful fragrance. Frangipani, champaka, everything that is a beautiful smell. Okay, smell that now. Orange blossoms, they're beautiful. They're called neroli, actually, I believe. But even lemon blossoms smell amazing. So smell, and even like the magnolias, like the grandiflora ones, they have that kind of slight lemon smell, or the privets.
Yeah, I just want to say the magnolias here that they're at the height of the blooming time right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and they're kind of at the height here too, but right now in California we have tons of star jasmine blooming all over the place, and it's amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really amazing. So I'm like tuning in on that. And so next we want to see how Vána's hair became woven into gossamer fabric that is very, very strong, that it can make sails that direct Arda. And the winds come into Arda and direct Arda, and Vána's hair helps steer the ship. And so let's see this ship of Arda steering into this beautiful place of love, of light, of growth, of life, green energy, new energy, vibrant energy, at the peak of its energetic expression, whatever that looks like, right before maybe it blooms, and then as it's blooming, right at that peak. That's what we want to do. We want to access Vána's energy and create our lives with this right now. We want to use this cycle to bring about a fruitful cycle that later we can celebrate with Yavanna, with our fruit that we have. Right now is a great time. And if we've had some darkness before, let Vána's hair light all of that up. Let Vána's white flowers erase all of that energy. We want all the darkness gone. We want all the trash taken out. Okay. And we send it down to the center of Arda, to the proverbial trash can, where it will be recycled into new earth energy for our source to make new plant life, make new animal life, make new human life. Okay. So we sail along with Vána right now, and if Vána might actually have some messages for you. Vána might want you to nurture and grow something into like a new cycle, something maybe you've never tried before, something that, you know, like a creative urge that, like, maybe it's in your energy and you don't know what to do with it. And maybe Vána can give you some encouragement and say, yeah, go for it. Go for it. Make this beautiful light expression. Use this time of the year to like really funnel in that beautiful golden platinum light energy into your goals and into your wishes for the summer. And we'll check in again at midsummer at Taornin Austa, and we will be checking in also at the full moon in September, which is Isil Yavaniye, which is for Yavanna, her sister, the giver of fruits. And we're going to see what fruit you have at this time. And you are just in that beginning stage. So a lot of the seeds that you planted right now, they're growing. So you already weeded them out, and hopefully, you know, like do the last bit of weeding. And now it's growth time. It's totally growth time. This is Vána's time. This is the time that we just really enjoy the height of the season. And the season of, if you will, the Elven Beltane, the first day of summer. Because that's what Beltane, in a sense, actually means. It is the Baal fires of Bel, B-E-L, their god in that time. So it was a fire festival, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Nost-na-Lothion was also a fire festival in Tolkien's work. So think about that new generating energy. So take away everything that is not working and bring forth that beautiful flowering energy right now. Like, just clear away everything that is like, you know, dead, dying, whatever, and just let this energy just purify everything with life, with vitality, with circulation, with, you know, briskness, with just all of the overflowing energy that is happening at this time. And it's so refreshing and so wonderful. And if you want to take a drink of water before we go into a musical meditation that is not actually music, it's more like songbirds and a babbling brook that you can sail in, we'll go ahead and meditate with that for a few minutes. And I'm setting up the screen to do that right now. Let Vána speak to you. And we'll play the meditation for about 10 minutes. And the time is right now that our meditation can come to a close. We want to thank all of the Valar, especially Vána, and your Maiar or Elven guides for their assistance. And we slowly come back to the physical world and we remember what transpired. Let us bid Vána, the ever young, and any others farewell. We'll turn our attention back to the green mound of the two trees, Koro Lairë. So we want to draw all of our energies in. We align those energies, the silver, gold energies, the up and down energies. We want to pull all of those into our field. So do the branches first, then pull up the roots, and then slow down the silver energy and the golden energy, and see them combining and becoming the three Silmarils, which are the jewels that were made with the light of the sun and the moon via the trees. This was what they were created before the sun and the moon were created. And we can keep these jewels with us and access their healing energies anytime that we want to. And now we want to take a deep breath. And if you are still like buzzed or out of your body, you can either eat, drink something, or put a little bit of salt on the tip of your tongue and you'll come back in your body. Our work is done. We acknowledge the existence of Eru Iluvatar, the all that is, and the flame imperishable. While we are in circle, and for Christians present in the circle, we thank the Christ Spirit for visiting us in circle. And may we see your presence in all outside of this circle, Laita. Thank you to all of the Valar, and in particular to Vána, the ever young, for being with us in circle and for carrying out in spirit our work done here tonight. We hereby open ourselves to you, even outside of the circle, Laita. We acknowledge and are grateful to the elements and the directions and to the silver and the golden light for being with us, creating our sacred space in which we may do our spiritual work on this very sacred night, Laita. And now we want to push down the golden and silver energies that we generated earlier, and we want to push them into Arda, into the earth. Arda here is a gift of energy, of pure intent, of love, light, and healing that comes from the very deepest places of our hearts. And may it heal you and all of your inhabitants and bring all things to natural balance. The circle is now open. Laita, many, many blessings. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
Trying to get back to the planet here. Right. So, yeah, and I imagine everybody else, I mean, that the water was really lulling me. I don't know about anybody else, but
yeah, that was a really good background meditation.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, the birds actually helped me kind of like stay like a little more alert. But if it was just the water, I mean, I would have probably been gone and like passed out by now because I am that tired.
Right, yeah.
But I wanted to share with you guys what came in a vision for me. Besides the messaging was kind of in a way for me twofold. It had to do with Tia Eldaleva, and I'll share that first, and then it had a personal one with me. So the one for Tia Eldaleva, it was definitely about getting rid of the trash, i.e. our old EIN number with the IRS, right. that it's tainted. It's not a lie. It's not that energy when it started, it was where it was, and it was where it was supposed to be, but it is no longer that. And I was told, like, yeah, Vána was like, like the energies of Vána is like, look, is this like bringing life or is this like dying? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh,
well,
ouch.
the person whose name I shall not mention is so attached to it that they would continue to keep screwing with it, if we didn't get a new
Yes.
one. So
Yes. And that person is not embracing a life full of life energy. It's a very death kind of
right.
energy. So, oh, Vána told Astrophel that all is going to be okay. And Linda says that I am so relaxed now. Thank you. Oh, wonderful.
Cool.
Excellent. Yeah, that music was really good for me too. And so what I wanted, that was basically what was about the path. It was like shining a flashlight on, the ugly things that I don't want to see, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes we're in a space where, we can't, or we, for whatever reason, we can't see it yet, or we don't want to see it, or whatever it is. But yeah, it was pretty clear, like, yeah, you need to do some house cleaning and you need to get some new energy going on here so that we can regenerate this whole thing and make it like back to original intention,
right,
make it back to the original form. And Vána was very, and it's so funny because I think of her as a really youthful, really, kind of innocent energy. And yet, like, there was so much wisdom behind that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, not only is she ever young, I would even say that there's an ever wise mm-hmm. kind of aspect that is going on with her. And so just letting you know that's what was going on for the path. And then as for me personally, it's kind of funny. It's like, aren't you on a journey, Lisa? Like, going back to all of the old things you were doing, crocheting, and,
right,
you had a business, and you are doing Ren Fair, and you're working vendor stuff, and so she just told me that I'm supposed to keep exploring that because that is going to regenerate youth in me, like in some way.
Right.
And it's funny because I had a few people at the fair tell me that, like, I don't, because I was joking around about being an old lady, right? Because it's like, I'm 59. I am an old lady, right? By definition, right? And, they were saying, but, like, you really don't, like, you're glowing. You really don't look that. And I'm like, glowing? What? What's going on here? So there's definitely some downloads or something happening. And maybe Vána was trying to tell me, like, just be open for the downloads and allow, again, to let go of the things that are dark, let go of the things that are sticky, let go of the things that are dying, let go of the things that are dead, right? And just, just like how when I take my exfoliant and exfoliate my face and all the dead skin cells go away, that's what I need to keep doing with my life right now.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
And then I said, so, like, how can I enhance that process? And then I got a flash of all the grapefruit and lemons that I picked over the weekend at the house that I was staying at. And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to start the cleanse. The cleanse, okay, in quotation marks, is my friend and I. So I have a friend up in, and she might be watching. Hi, Adriana, if you're watching from Oregon. And she's one of my dearest friends, and she is one of the most powerful healers that I am aware of on this planet. She is amazing. And we were talking about how she was reading the Medical Medium book, and she was talking about how this guy, this Anthony William guy, has, and I realize this is a public video, so I'll be careful with my words, how many of the things that he was channeling through as far as, like, the way that we handle this whole health crisis right now, she says that many of his ideas are correct. But what he missed was, A, that people need to do their energy work and vibrational work before they do the deep cleansing, because otherwise they're going to be at odds with the deep cleansing and they're going to keep struggling, and then they have to keep on the diet longer.
Right.
So you need to do the program erasing first and then do the diet. And then the second thing she said was that the diet is not identical for every human because each human is different. And this is what was channeled to her while she was reading. So I told her, just like, since I got home, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to do this deep dive. I want your help because you know this material that's in this book, and like, you know how I can energetically create that template of erasing. Like, so what it is that basically what she has also, and I've heard other healers say this as well, that it's very interesting how, like, so a bacteria really is a life form that can, like, interfere with your energy and like as a life form, so invade your energy. And molds and other things like that are life forms, but viruses are programs.
Yeah, they are. They're basically large.
They're programs.
Self-replicating molecules. You know, they don't.
That's okay. And she said, think about that for a moment. Why are we vulnerable to programs? If we have our own virus sweeping device that we create energetically in order to erase not only Corona, not only the new ones, but every virus program that is not in our highest good, can you imagine the kind of healing that there is? Now, the book talks about that many expressions of, like, what we call chronic disease that has no cure is related to a virus, and it's actually a family of viruses that will be known later as the Epstein-Barr virus family, but there's different expressions of it. And Nimue says we all need to do the energetic work and systems updates. Yeah, exactly. Once you cleanse, you have a vacuum if you don't have something to fill it with. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Exfoliate your life. Yeah. Right. So basically what it is that, like, I need a virus sweeping program, right? Like, in other words, like something that clears the energy and also keeps me free of virus programs so that I'm immune to the virus. Like, in other words, my energy is already, oh, I know your freaking virus program, reject, right? Before it even gets to me. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, I think
isn't that a cool idea? Now, the thing is that these Epstein-Barr viruses that we've been born with now, okay, like many decades, possibly centuries, that we've had these expressions doing all of these virus programmings. So many of us were born with these programs, okay? And it's a matter of unwinding them. So there is an aspect of diet that you have to do in order to help unwind it. But doing the diet without doing the energetic work in order to arrive at that, and part of it is realizing that it's a virus program and you can overcome the programming and say, hey, guides, help me overcome the programming, okay? Then your guides do the energetic part and they make you a clean slate, but you still have toxic, cleanup to do. And that's where the diet comes in. So the thing is that he talks about many of the foods that are good about clearing these virus coatings out of your system, like at that cellular level, so that you can get rid of all of the stuff physically that it's done. But energetically, you need to practice the energy of, like, being free of these programs so that you don't keep getting interrupted. So it's kind of like a full, like a twofold or maybe fivefold process, depending on how you look at it, right? Mm-hmm. And so Moonflower Fairy says that she has to go. Have a good night. Laita, many blessings. Laita. So that's what I got, was that I need to do that diet like soon, so that now my friend has already helped me to do, and it took me about a year after she introduced this concept to me. It took me about a year in order to be able to integrate that energetically. Now I've got to do the physical part. Okay. And a lot of it is just being open vibrationally to the fact that viruses are programs. You ain't going to put up with that program. And then, you know, you need like a shield or some kind of immune system, or just something that just unravels the virus, so that like it's not even a thing anymore. Just a virus unraveler, you know, something like that. And I know that viruses can actually help, like through the struggle of a virus, it can actually help us grow and have soul growth. So, because struggle sometimes helps humans, okay, like figure out some shit. Okay, so I'm not mad about like having, two forms of Epstein-Barr, because that's what the pendulum said, that are operating in my system, which, by the way, might be the other part of my symptoms that I haven't been able to get rid of, because it might be related to these unforeseen things or whatever. And so it might be just time to do the diet and then just get rid of all virus and their programs and all future viruses as well. It might be time for that. So that was my aha moment with Vána. I'm not sure if you want to share what happened with Vána with you, Dave, and I'm going to stay tuned to the comments and see what Vána meant for them today.
I can share that. I don't mind sharing. It's just it wasn't okay. It wasn't as on topic as yours. I basically had two strong visions.
Well, I had twofold.
Yeah. Mine. I don't know if you or any of the other people listening have ever seen the movie Grizzly Man.
No.
But what I saw, and the reason I'll get into it as I proceed with this was the first clear vision that I had. It was of a glacier field with basically the very front of it, the glaciers were calving off, as I call it, when the large chunks of ice fall into the sea and then become icebergs. And I was sort of going over it, and I could see all the crevices and so forth before you get to the edge where the actual icebergs are calving off. And I watched the Grizzly Man about 3 weeks ago, and there's a section in the movie where apparently it's either a drone shot or, probably since it was made in 2005, an actual helicopter shot of a glacier with all the cracks and crevices in it. And it's narrated by this producer named Werner Herzog. He's a German guy, and he makes a whole bunch of.
I mean, he has a lot of things. Yeah, I've seen that name a lot of places.
He does a lot of independent films, and they're different. They're out of the ordinary. But the man himself has kind of a negative, nihilistic personality. Like when he's describing Timothy Treadwell and that glacier scene, he says, I'll try to do his voice as well as I can. This gigantic complexity of tumbling ice and abysses separated Treadwell from the world out there. And more so, it seems to me that this landscape in turmoil is a metaphor of his soul.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And
that's funny.
And he says, basically that he says, and what haunts me is that in all the faces of the bears that Treadwell ever filmed, I discover no kinship, no understanding, no mercy. I see only the overwhelming indifference of nature, and this one's blank stare betrays only a half-bored interest in food. And then listen to this ending. I believe the common denominator of the universe is not harmony, but chaos, hostility, and murder. That gives you an idea, not so much of Treadwell's personality, but of Werner Herzog's personality.
I was going to say, that's pretty dark. And by the way, I think that there is, I mean, he has a valid argument. I mean, if we look around, but what I also believe is that, we are brought to this plane in order to find that good, that happiness, that joy, despite all of the junk.
Yeah.
And that there is beauty here.
Right.
And that there is so, I mean, it is completely false, if you will, to just believe that everything is wonderful and la 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 here, because it's not.
Right.
It's not. And I think that the poignancy of the contrast of experience is something that, why we have to come into a human body in order to figure that out. And I think that contrast actually helps us grow as a soul.
Right.
And this is like being in a PhD program of soul growth. Really. Okay. And even for little babies. Okay. Seriously, this is a PhD program. So there is of the universe, this is like the Woodstock concert, or the metaphysical Harvard, that everybody's trying to get into. Yeah. And, there's this, idea that, being human is, oh my God, it's so fun and all of that. No, I think that the reason that people want to be human is in order to experience. And that means the wide breadth of experience of sadness and pain and terrible things, as well as the joy. And when you have the joy after having the pain, it's a real shift. If you were always in joy, you wouldn't even know that you're in joy. You'd be just taking for granted, right?
Right.
But if you are in joy because you know what it feels like to be at the other space, that's a different place. That's a different place. So yes, maybe Mr. Herzog, maybe he's right. But I believe that we are here to navigate and find that light anyway. And that is like the Death Star, that Luke Skywalker has a crack shot, hitting, but it was impossible odds. Right. So we are Luke Skywalker trying to hit the fucking, target. Okay, with some janky, whatever the equipment, right? Terrible. Okay, it's like that. Okay, for humans, I believe. So now, how did Vána relate to that vision?
That's the second part. The first part.
Okay.
The first part was just seeing the icebergs carve off of that glacier, and then that since I had watched Grizzly Man about 3 weeks previously, that the occurred to my mind that Werner Herzog's sayings. Now the second part of the vision, I was on either the world ship or the sun ship, because Vána, that was Vána's hair that made the sail.
Yes.
And and I since I'm an amateur astronomer, I recognize the stellar patterns in the sky, so I can tell where I'm going. And for whatever reason,
you were probably on Earth then.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, it left our locality and started into basically an area between Scorpius and Canturus, which I suppose that would be Scorpio, I guess, in
right. So during the fall. During the fall.
Yeah, and I got close enough to a pulsar where I could actually see it, but it was in that area. And I seem to remember from my previous research that a number of like maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, there was an actual supernova in that location. And so there's probably a pulsar there now, unless it was big enough to form a black hole. I'd have to research that again. But anyway, it was rotating about the average speed for a pulsar, which is anywhere from about 2 times per second to 12 times per second. This was about 10 times. This was about.
I was going to say like a long time ago.
Yeah. This took about it was about a 10-second period. In other words, if you were stationary, the beam would sweep across you about once every 10 seconds. You wouldn't actually want to be there because it's emitting a lot of X-rays, and after one sweep, you'd be dead, or you'd be the Walking Dead stage. Let's put it that way. You'd be fatally irradiated.
Wow.
But anyway, I was in that location, and I could see where it was. So I'll have to do research again. I did some preliminary research on that, and I remember there was a supernova around 6,000 years ago, but I'll have to see precisely where it was.
So you'd have to correlate it with like science at that point.
I don't remember. I don't remember
Yeah.
precisely where it was. I know where this is now because I could see the stellar
Right.
patterns.
Sure.
But where I remember doing preliminary research. I'm not sure if all the research I did made it into the document that I made, Legendarium Stars, that one. But I'll have to go back and look because I have a good idea now where this was. So.
Well, and on the astrology level, I'll just describe the Scorpio energy. We recently are, we've been wrapping up the Taurus Scorpio North Node, South Node, which is what causes eclipses. So we're coming to a close after this season of the eclipses being in Taurus and Scorpio, and that it's going to enter into Aries and Libra. Mm-hmm. So there might be some kind of wrap it up, folks. And by the way, Scorpio is known as a sign of death and rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So that's a very interesting thing. And it might be that we fast forward to Scorpio time, coming in the future.
Right.
And that you may have had some glimpses of some things that like energies that are going to be happening like in the fall. Like that was something else that I noticed. Astrophel says, I was also on a ship, but it was during the day. So you were on the ship at night because you were watching the stars.
Right.
She was on the ship during the day. So she was watching the sun, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And by the way, like let that ship, take you to where it's going to go. Because sometimes it's just open water and, and you're sailing and you're like, okay, like where is spirit taking me? Mm-hmm. What does spirit want me to do? Where does spirit want me to visit? And so sometimes it's out of our control, meaning our conscious control, but it's in our higher self control. Mm-hmm. And so that's who I'm having be the captain of my ship, is my higher self rather than my lowly conscious Calantirniel self, Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening. So I'm going to wrap up because we've been on for almost 2 hours. Dave, I'm going to have to either call you back or make a new Google Meet to talk to you because my daughter is on the road and she needs to talk to me before she goes. And I've been waiting to hear from her since her birthday when I wished her happy birthday and she didn't get back to me. So
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. If you have time later this evening, I can do it because
yes, it will be. I just need to talk to her now while she's on the road because she's going to go through. So she's driving to Arizona, and for you guys that don't know this, so there's pockets of really good cell phone coverage, mostly in California, and then there's pockets of icky, terrible cell phone coverage.
I remember that
mostly in the mountains and mostly in Arizona until she gets to Tempe.
I was talking to you on that part of the drive and you faded out a number of times.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that one time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've been on that road a few times. So Laita, many blessings to all of you who are watching the video live, especially, and also the replay. And all of you patrons, everything, we have been, just really, really excited to get back in the whole swing of things. And the summer's here now. And Nimue says, have a wonderful evening. And Laita, many blessings. Astrophel says, blessings to all. So, yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a really wonderful night. And I'm sorry that Dakyndre didn't come. I apologize. He was held up, and I guess that it continued to be held up. So it's fine. He is trying. He did tell me that he's been going through a change of life circumstances and it's starting to get calmer. So I'm hoping to talk to him this week and we'll find out what's going on. And meanwhile, have a wonderful first day of summer. Elven Beltane. This is Calantirniel signing off for Tia Eldelieva. Laita, many
Bye, everyone.
blessings. Good
Laita.
night.